All right, here we go. Coming to you live from Olympia, Washington. We're going to talk about how to schedule appointments with your referrals. So get a piece of paper and a pen out. Get ready to jot some things down. Get your keyboard out, type this up. Here we go. So I'm going to start first off talking about some phone tips, things to make the job easier for you. And then I'm going to talk about the things that you don't want to do on the phone. And then we'll get into the approaches and we'll finish things up. So let's start the timer here. Our goal is to get done in 30 minutes or less. And here we go. Started. All right. First thing, guys, is tip number one. When you're doing phone time, make sure you make calls at the right times. So calling at the right times. And also, you want to call on the right days. So I would write that down. Right times, right days. And typically what we found as a company, the best times and days are Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sunday nights. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sunday nights. Typically in the evening time between about 6 p.m. and about 9 p.m. Between 6 and 9, those 3 hours. Doesn't mean you're calling for 3 hours. It just means that's the time when you're going to be able to probably get a hold of the most people. So if you do the research, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sunday nights, those are the best times when the best shows are on TV. So we know those are the times when most HM3s, married couples, are going to be home during those times. Second tip would be always call in 2 rounds. So people don't always answer their phone. Never get discouraged if you make phone calls and people don't answer. Don't worry about it. It's all good. That's normal. They live there. They will be home. So you make your first round of calls. Let's say it's Tuesday night. You've got your list of referrals. You make 20, 30, 40 phone calls, and maybe you get a hold of 5 people. Maybe you get a hold of 7 people and you schedule 5, 6, 7 appointments up. That means there's 20, 30 people or more that didn't actually answer their phone. You got their voicemail or whatnot. So we hang up, wait an hour or two later, wait till you started at 6, maybe you start calling now at 8:30, 8:15 maybe. You make your second round at 8:15. And typically you're going to find more people answer the second time. A lot of times what happens is they don't recognize your phone number from caller ID. So they see this number, they're like, who's this calling me? I don't even know who this is. So they don't answer. And then an hour and a half, 2 hours later, that same number comes up and they're like, oh, there's that number again. Wonder who that is. They're more likely to answer the second time, and that's important. So always make 2 rounds of calls. So each person should always get a phone call twice unless they obviously answer the phone. Really, really important tip right there. That's a good one. Next is your phone voice. And I'm going to get into that in more detail when I actually get into the approaches. But you want to sound like a fun person. You got to sound like that fun person that was actually over at their friend Carol's house. You got to sound fun, right? So a little tip is you can get a little mirror and set it up right here in front of you, and you can make sure you're smiling. I used to draw little smiley face pictures on my actual phone approaches. That tend to help, and I'm like, I laugh. I'm like, dude, I'm an idiot, whatever. And but you gotta sound fun on the phone. So, and if you're a dude, I don't have like radio voice like, hey Nancy, how's it going? I don't have that deep voice. So, but you gotta raise the pitch of your voice, fellas. So, it'd be sounding something like this: ring, ring, ring. Oh, hi, is Cheryl there? Hi, Cheryl, this is Kevin Elbert. Yeah, I'm actually a friend of Denise's. Did she get a chance to tell you I was going to call? And you got to sound like that. You got to raise your pitch up a little bit so you sound as least threatening as possible. And that's really, really important. Now, so phone voice. The next tip you can jot down is have a schedule filled out with all the appropriate demo times already pre-filled out. So you probably remember from your initial training seminar, your manager had you go through and put the letter A, right, everywhere, every hour and a half or 2 hours apart where you could do an appointment. Doesn't mean you're going to do one there, it just means you could possibly schedule one there. And the reason you always want to have those pre-filled out is it's all about speed. So when you're on the phone and trying to set up an appointment with Mrs. Customer, hey Mrs. Customer, so I want to know if you can't be trying to like figure out your schedule on top of your head, like right there in the moment. So you want to have them pre-filled out. So, hey, I want to know if I can swing by tomorrow at noon, or would 3:30 work better for you? So they're already pre-filled out. So it's all about speed. And you don't want to double book yourself where you just schedule an appointment right when you have class or you have another appointment or something going on. So really important to have those A's filled out. Next, Always offer 2 times. Always offer 2 times when you're setting up an appointment like you just saw me demonstrate. So would 3 or 6 work better? And I like to try to spread them out as much as I possibly can. So would noon or 6 be better for you tomorrow? So always offering those 2 times just makes it easy for them. What you never want to do is say, hey, what time would work best for you? They have to start thinking about their entire day. It makes their brain hurt. Not a good idea. So always offer 2 times when you're scheduling appointments. Next tip is have a call goal and keep stats. So I remember the very last time I did phone time, my goal was to set up 10 appointments. And that was a big goal. So I remember sitting there in my kitchen, boom, 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 making calls. I scheduled 7 appointments. It took me, I don't know, hour and a half, something like that. It took a good amount of time. So I scheduled 7 appointments, and how do I feel about that? Well, I scheduled 7 appointments. That's awesome. But on my calendar, I wrote 10. That was my goal. I wrote 10 right above my phone session time. And I felt good with 7, but I kept going. I'm like, man, I don't want to be lame. I said my goal was 10. So it forced me to make those extra few calls to get those 3 more appointments set up. So it's like when you go to the gym and you're on the Stairmaster or you're on the treadmill, you hit a goal of I want to run for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, let's say. So setting your goal of 30 minutes, let's say you've gone 10 minutes and you're like, man, my legs are sore, I want to give up. But you're like, man, I've only done a third of the workout. So, and what happens is you keep going, and eventually your legs start to, oh, okay, it's not too bad. And then all of a sudden you realize you've gone, whoa, over 20 minutes, 22, 23 minutes. And now you're like, whoa, I've got like 6, 7, 8 minutes to go. This is awesome. I can do this. And then all of a sudden you hit your 30-minute mark. So it's really important to have a goal. Now you want to keep stats. Usually what I did is I kept a little tally mark. So every time I made a phone call, whether they answered or didn't answer, I just wrote, made a call. Got the voicemail, made another call. I just made a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I just tallied them up. So I always had a call goal. So usually my call goal on a Tuesday, Thursday, or Sunday night was probably to make anywhere between 30 and 50 calls if it wasn't a push period, a competition. So 30 to 50 calls, I knew that I would definitely set up 4, 5, 6 appointments that night if I made enough calls. So the next tip is make calls in the best place for you. So what's the best place with the least amount of distractions, with the most optimum surrounding to help you succeed? Well, I would say that would probably be the office for most of you, your own office. Now, when I made phone calls at home, it was really challenging because I had parents that lived there, I had a brother, and there was a lot of distractions. TV was a distraction for me, the refrigerator was a distraction for me, things of that sort. So think of your office as like a gym, okay? So let's say you have a gym membership or you go work out at school, and you can only go to the gym so long and stand there and look around and look at all the other people working out before you start working out. So same thing, making phone calls at the office. You can only come to the office and stand there and look around so long at all the trophies and all the other people being successful before you realize, okay, I better make some calls. Plus, what you realize is that everybody in the office sounds pretty much just like you do. They're following the same scripts, doing the same exact stuff, and it's just a big confidence boost when you listen and hear other people do phone calls. So I rarely, a couple times I would make phone calls at home, but I rarely made phone calls at home. If I really wanted to make money and schedule a lot of appointments, I always came to the office. So I just looked at the office as like my place to work out, my gym for money. Okay, that's really, really important. The next tip I'm going to give you guys is don't leave a message. I'm not a big fan of leaving messages. I didn't really know what to say. There are approaches for leaving messages. It's a little bit more advanced. But right now, I wouldn't really worry about leaving messages. Just hang up, wait an hour, call them back, and then imagine if you did that for 3 days in a row. Don't you think eventually curiosity would get the best of the customer and they'd find the answer? Yeah, exactly. Now, by the way, if you've called somebody 5, 6, 7 times and they still have never answered, eventually they will answer, I promise. They live there, they'll answer. So what happens, by the way, if they do answer after 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 calls and they never answered, and they finally do, they go, hello? And you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you answered. And they're going to say, yeah, who's this? I can't believe you answered. I've called you like 25 times. I can't believe you answered. And they're like, yeah, I know. Who is this? I'm like, oh yeah, this is Kevin. I'm friends with Cheryl. Yeah, she told me to give you a call. How's it going? Then they go, oh, okay, yeah, we just didn't recognize the number on caller ID. You know what I mean? It's no big deal. You're not a stalker. It's all good, okay? Next tip I'm going to give you guys, smile when you dial. Okay, so not when you're actually pushing buttons, although that's a good place to start, as you're dialing the number, start smiling, thinking positive thoughts, and that's so important, right? So you got to send that positive vibe, that positive energy to your customer that you're a really nice person, and that's so important. Smile when you dial. You got to sound fun. You can't sound like trying to be this professional business person. You got to be a fun person, right? That's who they would want to set up an appointment with. So here's a question: you should tape record yourself and ask yourself this question: would I set up an appointment with myself? Do I sound like a fun person and with energy and enthusiasm that I would actually set up an appointment myself? So that's a great thing to think about. The next tip, last couple for tips. Be enthusiastic, right? It's how you say something, not necessarily what you say. So for instance, hey, the reason I'm calling, I was over to see your friend Janice the other day and your name came up. Oh, and don't worry, she didn't say anything bad. And you got to sound like that fun, energetic person. Smiling helps out with that. The last phone tip I'm going to have for you guys is firm up the demo and make sure they write it down. So firm up the demo. So basically at the end of each call, you want to say, here's my final firm up right here. Oh, one more thing. When you hang up the phone, could you tape a shiny penny to your fridge? And she's going to go, huh? Yeah, I know it sounds kind of strange, but I'm going to do a really cool trick with it when I get there. Just don't ask Carol about it because it would totally ruin the trick. All right? Yeah, it's really fun. Hey, thank you so much for helping me. I really look forward to meeting you, and I'm going to see you tomorrow at noon. All right? Yeah, it's going to be fun. I look forward to it. Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye. Click, okay? So, by the way, you always end that call with a little mysteriousness. They're like, wait, tape a penny to my fridge? That's the weirdest thing they've done all week, all month, maybe, okay? So that's the point. So they're going to grab a penny. They're going to tape it to the fridge. Like, what the heck are we going to do with this? But what's key is, what did you tell them? You told them, hey, don't ask your friend about it. Because the last thing you want them to do is, after they hang up with you, is call their friend and say, hey, I just set up this appointment. What's this whole thing about? Because you don't really talk about the product too much in the approach. And the last thing we want is their friend to say, oh yeah, Kevin, he sells these kitchen knives. They're like $1,000. He's going to come over and sell them to you. They're awesome. And then the customer's like, I don't want to do that, right? So we want to try to avoid that. And that's a really sneaky way to do it. And it works really, really well. So just don't tell your friend Janice about it. It would totally ruin the trick. And they're like, oh, okay. And they kind of giggle. It's kind of funny, all right? So here we go. So a couple don't do's on the phone. So you can title this, don't do this, when you're making scheduling appointments. So the first tip I have for you on the don't do's, is try not to schedule more than 3 days in advance. So try not to schedule more than 3 days in advance. Now every once in a while you're going to run into a situation where you can't really control that. That's okay. Just do your best not to schedule more than 3 days in advance. And people tend to double book themselves and whatnot, so we want to try to keep them from forgetting about us, right? So that's why if I did a phone time on a Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday night, on a Sunday night, I'm scheduling appointments for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? On Tuesday, I'm scheduling for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then on Thursday, I'm scheduling for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Do you guys see how it's always kind of an overlapping cycle right there of 3 days in advance? Do 3 phone times, schedule 3 days, you're golden. The next don't do on the phone is don't call back the customer to remind them of the demo. A horrible idea. So you don't want to call them and go, hey, I'm just calling to remind you about our appointment today at noon. They know, they wrote it down, right? If you follow the approach and really did a good job connecting with the customer, sounding like a fun person, they're going to be there. It's all about firming up that appointment, but it's actually kind of insulting if you talked to them just 2 days ago and told them to write it down, and then you called them a couple hours before and say, hey, I'm calling to remind you. They're like, yeah, I know, I wrote it down, right? And so don't insult the customer. Just make sure, don't call them before the demo. When you talk to them the original time, make sure they write it down, penny in the fridge, that kind of thing. The next don't do is don't sell over the phone. So if they start asking prices, they say, so hey, Janice told me you guys have these really cool scissors. How much or something like that? I always kind of played stupid when they start asking, oh yeah, I'm not sure all the prices right off the top of my head, but I'll tell you what, how about I just bring my information with me, and then when I get there I can tell you all about it. It's pretty cool though. So don't try to actually sell over the phone. If they want to buy over the phone already, imagine what they already want to buy the scissors on the phone. Imagine what would happen if you actually went there and showed them all the other stuff and they could see how amazing the product is. So you'd sell way more anyway. So always try to get into the home and to do the appointment. The next tip is don't forget to say the customer's name often. You want to say their name often. The sweetest sound to anybody's own ears is their own name. So very, very important in your phone approach is to make sure you say their name often. Also, you want to say their friend's name often, and that really just kind of makes it really comfortable. You have this connection with the customer. It's a really nice connection. It's really comfortable, and because they feel like, oh, you know my friend, you keep talking about her, you know, yeah, you can come by. The next tip right here I'll give you guys is don't freestyle the phone approach, right? So I've every once in a while I see that brand new rep who maybe they don't feel comfortable reading that approach yet, so they kind of just try to wing it and whatnot. So I'll tell you what, just doesn't really work so well. You know, you might get lucky every once in a while with somebody you know maybe, but you know, we've been around for a long, long time in this business, and we know what works and doesn't work. So stick right to that approach. You'll be glad that you did. All right, so let's get into the actual phone approaches. So now it doesn't really matter what phone approach your office has. If your office has it on paper, a phone approach like this, that's what you want to use. You want to use whatever they have in your manual, whatever they give you, because we know it works. So don't worry about necessarily the words that I'm saying right now, but I want you to focus on the concepts of what I'm talking about in the phone approach. So if you have your phone approach, you can feel free to pull it out right now. In our training manual, it's on page 26 of your training manual. Not everybody's training manuals are the same, I get that, so you might have it on paper, but whatever. So here we go. Here's the phone approach. Ring, ring, ring. Hi, is Janice there? Hi, Janice. This is Kevin Elbert. Yeah, I'm a friend of Sheila's. Did she get a chance to tell you I was going to call? And most of the time, we want them to say no right there, right? Because the last thing you want them to do is, yeah, they told me it was all these knives for like $1,000. I'm not interested, right? So we know they're probably going to say, no, about what? What? I didn't hear. Oh, shoot, I must have beaten her to you. Is it okay if I explain why she had me call you? And I love that sentence. Is it okay if I explain why she had me call you? Because you're actually asking permission to talk to the customer right there. You're saying, hey, is it okay if I keep talking to you? And you're going to find out right away if it's Mr. or Mrs. Grumpy Pants or not. Now, since it's a referral, most of the time they're going to be really nice, right? But if you caught them at the wrong time, they're in the middle of something or whatnot, it might not be a good time. So that's a great, great sentence right there. Is it okay if I explain why she had me call you? And 90% of the time, 90+% of the time, they're like, yeah, what's going on? They're intrigued, right? Because they don't know you, but they know that you know their friend. So, and then it says, cool, well, excuse me, the reason I'm calling, I was over to see Sheila the other day, and your name came up. Oh, and don't worry, she didn't say anything bad. So that line right there is really important to kind of change your demeanor to like really fun, right? Because if you say that not in a fun way, oh, don't worry, she didn't say anything bad, that just sounds creepy weird. So you want to say it in an upbeat, fun way. Oh, and don't worry, she didn't say anything bad, right? Then it says, yeah, Sheila said you were really nice and thought you might be able to help me out with something I'm working on. And so right there, what are you telling them? You're telling them that you were actually at their friend's house talking about them, that they're really nice and that they'd probably be able to help them out. So do you see how that first whole opening paragraph, 2 paragraphs there, is just to make the customer comfortable and intrigued on what you're going to say? Because they're like, well, they're thinking, well, what were you guys talking about? You know, what's going on? What is it, right? So now if you're a student, you'd read the student part. If you're not a student, you read the non-student part. So I'm not in school right now, so I'm going to read the non-student part. So I'm actually working with this local company that's helping me build my resume and develop my customer service skills. And what they have me do is kind of odd yet simple at the same time. They pay me just to stop by really quickly and show you a cool product that the company has. All it is just a bunch of fun stuff for the home and kitchen, like kitchen gadgets and gardening stuff, which I'm pretty sure you already have a ton of kitchen stuff. So that's why I get paid just for showing it to you and getting your opinion on it. Okay? So that paragraph right there is just to kind of give them a quick, like, now in their head, think about what's going on in their head. They're thinking, okay, so the company pays you to come by and show me some kitchen stuff and some gardening stuff. And then in their head they're thinking, but I already have lots of kitchen stuff and gardening stuff. I don't need anything. That's what they're thinking, right? Well, that's why you say the line, I'm pretty sure you already have tons of kitchen stuff, so that's why the company pays me just to show it to you. So it's kind of like handling the objection before it comes up. And then it says, as a matter of fact, Sheila told me she wasn't sure if you'd be interested in the product or not, but she did say you were really nice and you didn't hate tall people. You don't hate tall people, is that right? I'm 6'4", so you don't hate tall people? No? All right, cool. Now, if you're a college student, you'd say, hey, you don't hate college kids. You know, if you're a short redhead, hey, you don't hate short redheads, right? I'm short and redhead. And they kind of giggle. It kind of loosens them up there a little bit. That's kind of fun. And by the way, nobody ever is going to say, yeah, I hate tall people, or what. It's weird. Okay, so the next paragraph, well, the reason I'm calling you now is because I'm in a really big contest, and in order for me to stay on track to win my letter of recommendation, I just need 10 more appointments by Thursday. I wanted to know if there's any way you could squeeze me in real quick on Wednesday at noon, or does 6 o'clock work better for you? And now, I'm always anticipating that they're going to give me some type of objection, like I'm busy, or what is it, or how long is it going to take, or whatnot. So I'm always anticipating that. So that's where I have page 25 in my training manual, my objections right here. And I would use those and read right off of those, which we'll get to that in just a quick moment. Here we go. Next, they say, yeah, noon would be great, Kevin. Oh, okay, cool. Could I get some simple directions to your house so I don't get lost? And you want to get some detailed directions. I wouldn't really trust your Google Maps, or I wouldn't really trust your GPS all that much. Roads change and things change so fast with how fast they can put in a road or a different street or plop a store right there or whatever. So get directions. Plus, the longer you can spend on the phone with the customer, the better, because then they get to feel you out. They get to, oh, Kevin seems really cool. He seems really nice and really, really fun. And doesn't seem like a scary person, right? And then it says you get clear directions, and I always repeated them back to the customer. Hey, can I just repeat this back to you? I just want to make sure I wrote down the right directions. And you know, turn left on James Street, go half a mile, turn right on 113th. Okay, got it. All right, third house on the left, blah, 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 whatever. And then, could you do me a little favor and grab a piece of paper and a pen? Okay, cool. Hey, could you just jot that down? My name is Kevin Elbert, E-L-B-E-R-T, Elbert. It's like Albert with an E, Elbert. So, now obviously, if you have a name like Elbert that you'd have to spell out for them, do that. If your last name is Smith, don't spell out Smith. S-M-I, you know, that's like, you know, insulting to their intelligence. So, but definitely spell it out if it's a long name. And then also go ahead and put a smiley face next to my name just to remind you that I'm really nice. And by the way, that's the most cheeseball-y line you could possibly say, I think, ever. By the way, if I said that to one of my friends, it would punch me in the face like that, right? Because it sounds so silly. But understand, you're talking to, you know, an HM3 customer. They're in their 40s or 50s usually, right? So that's going to make them laugh. You've already built a rapport. They already know you're a fun person because you seem fun. You told some jokes already. You're being yourself. And then you tell them to put a smiley face next to your name so that it reminds them that you're really nice. And then I know it's corny, but the first time I did it, the customer goes, okay, Kevin, yeah, I'll do that. And then when I got there, I was smiling, and they're like, oh, you know, just like I pictured, you know, I drew a smiley face, and that's good job. So anyway, it sounds stupid, but I promise you it's totally worth it. You got to be that person that they know, oh, that person's fun. That person, I'm excited to meet them and see what they look like, and I'm intrigued by them because they seem pretty cool. So anyways, that's why that line's important. And then we go into the penny line right here at the end. Oh, and when you hang up the phone, could you tape a nice shiny penny to your fridge? She's like, what? Yeah, I know it sounds kind of strange, but I'm going to do a really cool trick when I get there. Just don't ask your friend Carol about it because it would totally ruin the trick, okay? All right, well, hey, thank you so much for helping me. I really look forward to meeting you, and I'll see you Wednesday at 12 o'clock noon, okay? All right, thank you so much. It's going to be fun. Yeah, I'll see you on Wednesday. Okay, bye-bye. Click, right? And don't be that person that hangs up really quick. Okay, bye, click. Right? This is kind of rude, right? Like you're just treating it like another number in the system. So when you hang up, okay, bye, click. I know you're not actually using a landline, you're using your iPhone or whatever. You're like, okay, bye, click, right? That's really important to go slow, right? Don't rush it. Now, we know that the customer is going to give us an objection, right? They're going to say, I'm busy, call me back, I'm not interested, things like that, right? So let's look over page 25 here. So it says, always end by asking another question. This keeps you in control of the conversation. People are generally going to say, hey, I'm busy. That's just the easiest thing to say. Remember, once they meet you and see Cutco, they're going to be glad they let you come over. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times asking for the order, which is the demo, before you set up that appointment. Give your customers a reason to let you come over by sharing your goal and creating urgency. So never make a phone call without this objection sheet in front of you. This is probably the most important thing about making phone calls. Understand, people in general like to procrastinate. You just have to give them a reason to let you come over. Don't forget to smile and sound fun on the phone. Like some of you guys, why is the trunk of your car messy? Well, because it's just easier to clean it out later. Why are there dirty clothes on the ground in your room? Not all of you, but some of you are laughing right now because you're like, crap, I got dirty clothes. Because it's just easier to do the laundry later, right? Same thing with an appointment, right? So when you call to set that appointment, the last thing I ever had was a customer say, oh man, I'm so glad a young person's calling me and wants to come over and show me some stuff. You know, that's not what they're thinking. People live busy lives and stuff like that. But you got to give them a reason to come over. So imagine if you said this. Don't actually say this, but imagine if you did. If a customer gave you an objection like, oh, I can't do it, I'm busy, or I'm not interested, and you said this, well, hey, actually, I have a $100 bill in my pocket. I'd love to come over and give you a $100 bill right now. What do you think they would say? They would say, yeah, you can come over today, right? That's what they would say. So you just got to give them a reason, okay? So every once in a while, you're going to get a customer that says, I'm busy. Oh, hey, I totally understand that you're busy. I'm super busy too. Is Thursday a bad day, or are those just bad times? So sometimes the customer, you call them, it's just a bad day. They're going to work all day up in another town or whatever. Sometimes it's just a bad day, so you just got to find an offer different time. Well, hey, how about Thursday, or how about tonight? Or another one for I'm busy. Hey, normally I wouldn't ask twice, but I'm in this huge contest and I have a chance to win a scholarship. So if there's any way you could squeeze me in, that would be awesome. I could swing by real quick on Tuesday at noon or at 6 o'clock better, and just offer different times. What's the product? They might ask that. Well, what is the stuff? You know, I don't even know what it is. I don't. Well, excuse me. You says garden stuff or kitchen stuff. Oh yeah, it's Cutco, which is some great things for the home and kitchen. And I know you have plenty of these. That's why I get paid just to show it to you. So could you squeeze me in real quick on blank at this time or this time? Or if they say, hey, Kevin, just call me next week. We'll set something up next week. Again, guys, it's not that they don't want us to see. They're just procrastinating. That's all it is. They're just procrastinating, okay? So next week, wow, it sounds like you're a real busy person. I've had super busy weeks like that all the time. I can totally call you back next week, but for me to stay on track to win my scholarship, I really need to see 10 more people by Saturday. I normally wouldn't ask twice. That's my favorite line. But it really means a lot to me. So if there's any way you could squeeze me into your schedule this week, that would be awesome. How about blank at this time, or would this time be better for you? How long is it going to take? 15-minute guarantee. You can see it all right there. I'm not interested. Call me back. I've seen the demo 100 times. Or can't you just say you were here? Now, I remember calling a customer. And now, normally you always want to talk to the wife on the phone, but for some reason I talked to the husband for some reason. I don't think I got the wife's name or whatnot. But anyway, so I called the husband and I said, yeah, so blah, with this time or this time. And he goes, well, hey, Kevin, you know, what is the product? What is it? And I read my little script. Oh, it's Cutco, which is some great things for the home and kitchen. I know you have plenty of these. That's why I get paid just to show it to you. So could you squeeze me in on Tuesday at noon, or would 6 be better for you? And then he's like, well, you know, how about you just call me next week and we'll set something up? And I go, yeah, wow, it sounds like you're real busy. You know, I've had super busy weeks like that all the time, and I can totally call you back next week. But for me to stay on track to win my scholarship, I really am trying to see 10 people before Saturday. I normally wouldn't ask twice, but it really means a lot to me. So if there's any way you could squeeze me in your schedule, that would be awesome. How about Saturday at noon, or would 6 be better for you? And then he goes, well, to be honest, Kevin, I'm just not really interested. And I go, oh, perfect. Yeah, you don't have to be interested at all. And since I get credit just for showing the product and getting your opinion on it and on myself and how well I do presenting it, it's actually a lot of fun. And I know your friend Carol had a lot of fun as well and thought you would too. So if there's any way you can just squeeze me in, that would be awesome. Could I stop by tomorrow at noon, or would 6 be better? And then this guy, he goes, hey, Kevin, do you have an answer for everything I say? And I'm like, yeah, I've got like 5 or 6 more too. And he goes, all right, why don't you come over tomorrow at noon? And I'm like, yes, right? It was amazing. Legitimate. That was a true story that really happened. So again, you're never sounding pushy, but you are being persistent. So if you were to define the difference between being pushy and persistent, what would you say the difference was? Well, being pushy is like being demanding. Being persistent is you sound fun and you're like, oh, this person seems like they're pretty cool. I guess we'll let them come over. But by the way, once you get there and they see you, and they're so glad that they let you come by, okay? So the final thoughts, guys, is practice makes perfect. Just keep practicing your approach. Be in your office around other people. Ask your manager for tips and pointers. It gets easier every single time you make a phone call. So there you go. Hope you guys got a couple nuggets from today, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.